I don't know, the environment that I was. Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to my channel. Today I will be talking about why I chose Notre Dame. I feel like this time of the year is when high school students are applying to colleges, and I just wanted to, give a little bit of, I guess, insight that I've drawn in from my years at Notre Dame. So first I'll be talking about why I chose Notre Dame, and then I'll be going into pros and cons, and I hope this ends up being helpful. And I just want to say, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to pursue in the future, so it wasn't really how great the school was for specific majors, just because I was very confused. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So the lawnmower right now is quite loud, but I just wanted to say, just for reference, that I am a political science and sociology major with a Korean minor. So I don't know how much that affects my video, but yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know. And yeah, let's get started. So originally I wanted to go to school in the Northeast because I am from New Jersey, so I wanted to be near my family. So I applied to schools in the Northeast area, but I didn't get into the ones that I wanted to go to. So I ended up choosing between Notre Dame and Emory. So I ended up visiting both schools. Both of them are really great schools. So, either way I would have been fine. But, here are just little things about the colleges that I thought made Notre Dame a better fit for me. So first, Notre Dame doesn't have any frats or sororities, and I think that the idea of being in a sorority scared me. Don't be scared that there won't be this community for you to be in. The dorm life has a really great community, and there are a lot of clubs that kind of serve as frats. I did like the idea of not having to worry about rushing into a frat, and I'm glad that I chose a school that didn't have frats, because I know just for my personality that would have really stressed me out. My second reason is that I don't really like hot, humid weather, and when I went to Emory, it was very hot and humid. When I went to Notre Dame, the weather was quite beautiful, and I have a lot to say about weather in the cons, but I think that was also what kind of helped me decide, because I really I like the 4 seasons, and I do like the cold to a certain extent. I think just in the moment when I went, the weather was much nicer at Notre Dame, so that was kind of a factor. So the third reason why I chose Notre Dame is because the campus was really great. When I visited, the campus was really, really beautiful. It's pretty traditional. When you think of a college campus, that is the stereotypical college campus that comes to mind. When I visited Emory, it was more of a bustling, city type of atmosphere. I didn't really get that traditional, college campus type of feel, and I think that's kind of what I wanted. Fourth reason why I chose Notre Dame is because I think I wanted a traditional college experience, traditional meaning football. And though I didn't really end up being really passionate about Notre Dame football or really loving it, I think I wanted to have that experience and decide that for myself. The fifth reason why I chose Notre Dame is because when I visited both the schools, I had quite different experiences. When I went to Notre Dame, it was very personal. I had one tour guide who gave the tour only to me and my family, and I think that kind of gave me a feel for how the school was, and I think they really wanted to make you feel like they cared about you, which they do. And when I went to Emory, it was this big tour group of people, and I couldn't really ask the tour guide a lot of questions. Not to say that Emory isn't a wonderful school, I bet they care about their students a lot, but it was just that immediate experience. Because I liked that sense of relationship and community, I chose Notre Dame. And I guess my last reason, and I think this is one of the biggest defining factors of why I chose Notre Dame, it was because when I went to Emory, this is just my immediate experience, but when I visited Emory and they were having all of these admitted students activities with a bunch of the people there, I knew someone there. I remember we kind of clung to each other as we went around, and when I went to Notre Dame, I was put into this uncomfortable position of not knowing anyone. I knew just from my personality that if I had gone to Emory, I would have had a much harder time, reaching out to different people and making new friends, because I knew a lot of people from the Northeast like from New Jersey and from my school going to Emory. So I just felt that like personally for me, if I wanted a different experience and if I wanted to meet a lot of new people, that I should go to a place where I didn't know anyone and that was an environment completely unfamiliar to me. Again, because I didn't have a preference for the school that I was going to go to. Well, to be honest, I originally thought that I was going to choose Emory because it was so familiar to me. It just seemed like a similar environment to where I was raised and the environment that I grew up in, and I'm someone that doesn't really like change, but I think in the end I realized that change is what I needed if I wanted to grow as a person. Just personally for me, I feel like I need to be forced into that kind of situation, into an uncomfortable situation to grow. So yeah, those are the reasons why I chose Notre Dame. Now let's get into the pros and cons that I have learned over my 3 to 4 years at Notre Dame. So let's start with the cons first because I want to end on a good note. And I want to convince you to come to Notre Dame. So the first two kind of go together. So it's single-sex dorms and parietals. So we have single-sex dorms at Notre Dame, so it's separated by girls and guys, and we have parietals. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically a rule that says you can't be in the opposite sex's dorm after a certain time. So during the weekdays, it's midnight, and during the weekends, it's 2 a.m. So if I went into a guy's dorm, I don't know, if I stayed after midnight and I got caught, there would be penalties. What I did enjoy was, you know, I feel like the girls' dorms had their own communities and the guys' dorms did too. The girls' dorms were definitely a little bit cleaner, but whenever I wanted to like watch movies with like my group of friends, which, you know, has both guys and girls, you couldn't really do that because there was nowhere to go, especially since, like, you know, after you do your work, it's like 10 p.m. and then, you know, it takes time to like figure out what movie you're gonna watch, and suddenly it's midnight and then you have to go home. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult to hang out with your friends. You know, the single-sex dorm perpetuate the gender binary. You know, there's so many more things that I could go into, but yeah, a con is definitely the single-sex dorms and the parietals. So another con is that the school is in the middle of nowhere. It's in this town called South Bend, and though it is like a really, you know, cute town, there are things to do. There are like restaurants, there's bowling alley, there's a movie theater, but it is very small towny. We have a college street, not a college town. It has like Five Guys, it has Blaze Pizza, it has Chipotle. There aren't a lot of things to do. So if you're someone who really likes the city life, it might not be the place for you. There is Chicago, but Chicago's like an hour and a half away by car and a 3-hour drive. It is a little inconvenient if you want to go to Chicago, unless you have a car, which then that's great. But honestly, I did like it. I think that I definitely spent less money because of it, because there isn't a lot to do. I have found a liking to South Bend, but there isn't much to do. So that's definitely something that you should think about when you're choosing colleges. Another con is the weather. So the weather is pretty bad. It's like beautiful in the summer, like the sunsets are beautiful, the weather's beautiful. I want to say like January and February and a little bit of December are probably the coldest months there. It's very normal for it to get to single digits and even the negatives. It like burns too. It like burns your ankles and your hands. So you really do need like long socks and gloves. And then around like December, maybe like even November, it starts to snow, and it snows like all the time. Like sometimes it just snows for days and you never get a snow day. It's not like high school, and it's not like other schools where if there's a little bit of ice, you get a snow day. No, there could be a full-on blizzard and you would not get a snow day. Insert video here.
That was so deep. I don't care how far it goes down.
It snows so much and it gets really cold. My sophomore year, we had a polar vortex. Things got down to like -22, and then it felt like -40 because of the winds. It was crazy, and school shut down for like 2 days because it was dangerous to go outside. But yeah, the cold is definitely a con, unless you really like freezing cold weather. And I guess like my last con, this isn't really a con, but it's just something that I have been thinking about as a senior. But as a senior, like obviously I'm looking for jobs, but I'm someone who wants to be in New York. And I think one of the things about Notre Dame is that like a lot of the companies that come to recruit are from the Midwest. So if you want to end up in places like Chicago and Michigan, you know, very great places, you know, it's a great school for that. It's a great school to end up in the Midwest. But if you do want to be in other parts of the country like California or New York, you do have to kind of put in a little bit of extra effort. You do need to network on your own. You do need to reach out. They're not going to come to your recruitment fair. So I guess that is a con. Like, you know, if you go to school in like New York, those companies do come to recruit to your college. But if you're at Notre Dame, you know, those companies don't come to recruit. Most of the companies that come to recruit are based in the Midwest area. So, you know, if that's somewhere where you end up, it's a really great school for that. And obviously, like, it's not too hard. Like, I have a lot of friends who are ending up in California, who are ending up in New York. It just takes a little bit more effort. And obviously, like, as a freshman or when you're deciding schools, I don't think that should be a factor, but it's just something to know in the back of your mind, like, you're going to have to put in a little bit more work if the place you want to end up is not in the Midwest. And now let's get to pros. I guess what I really like about Notre Dame is that it's a really great community. You know, I feel like the vibe at a lot of really great schools is kind of this like cutthroat competition vibe. And that's something that I had in high school, and it's something that I really didn't want in college. And I think what's great about Notre Dame is that that's not the vibe that you get. I feel like everyone around you is really willing to help each other. I've never had anyone, you know, like reject me when I asked them for help. And let me tell you, I have asked a lot of people for help. But yeah, I really like that about Notre Dame. I think everyone just wants to succeed together. And like, obviously it does kind of depend on what school you're in. I know like business is a little bit more competitive, but I feel like everyone out there is just really willing to help each other. And I think that that's really great. I also really like the size of the school. I think that it's like small enough where if you go to like a student center or if you go somewhere like the dining hall, you'll definitely see a couple people you know, but it's not small enough where you're not meeting new people. So like in class, like even as a senior, like I've made like a couple new friends from my classes, which is really great. But then also I've never entered a class my senior year not knowing a single person. So yeah, I really like the size of the school. I think it's a really great size. Because I do like knowing people. I like saying hi to people as I walk to places, so that's pretty great. Another thing that I like about the school, this definitely like pre-COVID, I'm pretty sure the food got not too great. The food used to be really good. Like it was so good. They had a really great burger station, they had a really great pasta station, they had a really great stir fry station, and obviously like a lot of those like don't exist anymore because of COVID, but like even their Southwest salad, like I remember, oh my god, their Southwest salad is so good. Like they only have it on Thursdays, but every Thursday there would be like a line out, like literally it would like wrap around the dining hall because, you know, everyone wanted their Southwest salad. So the food used to be really good. I really liked it. Another thing I really like about the school, all of my professors have been really great, especially my sociology professors. They're so cool. They're so funny and they're so helpful. Like I really enjoyed my sociology professors, and I'm pretty sure this goes for like most of the professors at Notre Dame, but I think they're so cool. I think there's a very strong sense of community. And I think that is definitely shown through how hyped people get for Notre Dame football. And also like, you know, when you walk across campus, like everyone's always wearing something Notre Dame. There's this very strong network of Notre Dame students that like if you meet an alumni or even if you just meet a Notre Dame student like outside of school, like I think there's this really strong connection that you have and they greet you so warmly. And I think that's just so great about this school. If you want to see what it's like during COVID, go check out my vlogs. I have a bunch of them on my channel. And yeah, I really encourage you to apply to Notre Dame and come to Notre Dame. I think it's a wonderful school. And if you have any questions about Notre Dame, please feel free to reach out. You can DM me on Instagram, which will be in the description box below. I think that it took me quite a while to appreciate Notre Dame and to fall in love with Notre Dame, but I think it's a beautiful campus and it has a beautiful community, and I definitely met some wonderful, wonderful people at Notre Dame. And yeah, good luck on your applications. I know how stressful it is. I remember being a high school senior and I wanted to cry. But yeah, you'll definitely get through it. So thank you so much for watching. Please give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Go Irish! Bye!